I don't know if you want me to do that or if I should still be doing this. Okay, cool. So, let's hide that. So what I'm doing in this right here is we're just setting a brand new instantiation, excuse me, a brand new, instantiation, creating a new object of the BMI. We're setting the metrics, setting the height, setting the weight, and then we're setting the BMI is and get status. Now, um, we're doing a lot of abstraction here, kind of, but not really, which means we're setting it with empty values, and then we're setting the metrics, height, weight, and then getting the status of all that. So what I'm changing is I'm not doing a lot in this main class, and I'm doing all of the work in the BMI class, which is what I like. So I have these private weight, private height, private metrics. I got rid of the name and the age because I didn't really find the use for it in this instance. I have these constants for when we're using the inches and pounds, and then I have the public BMI, and we're just setting it to 0, 0 in an empty string, just so we have something in it, and I know exactly what's in it. There's not garbage in it. That's just some C++ stuff. If we didn't do that, it would still be 0, 0 in an empty string or null, but that's just a habit of mine. I always initialize it to empty and 0 and 0. Now, in these set metrics, you can see we have the prompts and then some input validation for exactly what I want, and then the same concept for the height and weight, the prompts, the input. Notice that we are passing in the scanner from right here. Excellent. So we are creating the scanner object in main, but we are passing it in to the BMI. That is because with each call to these, I didn't want to create a scanner object every single time. I just want to pass it in and use it whenever I need to. So, and then I could actually close it, but I was told that I didn't have to close it and it would close itself, which is cool. It has like a garbage collector, which is a fun little fact. Notice this get metrics right here, which I'll show you what it's really good for in a second, and how it works in the function. That's really cool, but this is it'll make sense right now actually. Basically, it helps with the prompt and be a bit more immersive. So when we initially choose the metric, it'll then tell you exactly what you want, like help remind you what to put in. So when it's ready for height, if you press 0, then it'll say, okay, so put your height in inches, and then put your weight in pounds. If you press 1, then it's put your height in meters, and then put your height in kilograms. And then the way I handle it is just with a string that I pass in. When it's weight, I pass in weight. When it's height, I pass in height. So it was just a little helper function that makes it a bit more immersive and helps the end user really know what's going on with every single step. This get BMI is the really the heavy lifter. Um, so it's doing all the calculations. When it is 0, then it's doing the calculations including the constants, because a we're in the inches and pounds, so we need to add those constants to make it in meters, because BMI works with meters and kilograms. And then when we're in 1, we don't need those. So, and then in neither of those cases, we return 0. Now, we shouldn't ever reach 0, but just in case we do, we want to, when we get to this get status, we want to return error in input entry. With those input validations, we should never reach return error in input entry, but just in case, I threw that in there. On get status, because if you notice, just to remind y'all, what we're doing up here is we're setting all 3 of these, and then all we're doing is getting the status. So Scrolling back. Oh, too far. So we're setting the BMI to this local variable. Um, and that's why this is a private, because only the class uses it. And that's just a personal choice. You don't have to do it this way. That's just a personal choice. Um, yeah, so we're setting this local variable to this get BMI. If it's less than or equal to 0, there's an error in the input entry, um, because something of this isn't right. I don't really believe it could be, but I don't really believe anybody has a BMI of 0. Um, so if it's less than or equal to 0, then there's an input error, input entry. That could be a flaw in my logic, but for now, in all of my testing, I've only ever gotten underweight unless I mess up something. So, um, the else if then returns the BMI with a number, and then which is underweight, or which is normal, which is overweight, which is obese. So that is, and then some gets just in case we need to store the direct height or the direct weight outside of the class. And then we could do a public get BMI if we need to, but for this instance, we just didn't need to. So what that looks like in practice is something like this. And I'll show you the input validation as well. So if we do say -1, doesn't like that, 2, doesn't like that, and let's go with the inches first. So 72, 6 feet tall, 150 pounds, it's going to say 2034, which is normal. And I just did this math, so let's run it again, and then it was let me pull it up. 6 feet to meters. Let's do, oh, no, let's do 1. 6 feet is 1.829. I'm going to do it exactly this time. And then let's do 150 to kilograms. 68.039. And this is just to make sure. 34. Okay, so the math is working perfectly. Let's say that he is, let's say he is the exact same height, but he is 50 pounds. 6.7, which is underweight. Okay, excellent. Again, let's say he is 40, I don't know, let's say he's 4 feet tall, but 500 pounds. Obese. Okay, yeah. So it is working exactly as I need it to. Wonderful. Well, let's do one more test. So let's just see, make sure it works. 0, doesn't like that. So let's just put 200. -5, doesn't like that. 0, doesn't like that. 8.79, still underweight. Okay, excellent. So all the numbers and stuff seem to be working exactly as intended. Excellent.